Your homework tonight is to review linear functions. So, linear functions, we have a famous equation of a line. That famous equation of a line is what? Well, it's y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this like it's notes. If you want to do that, that's awesome. We are going to end up putting this in our notes section. So if I go ahead and highlight this, it says, what is the most famous equation of a line? I just said it. Y equals mx plus b. We call this slope-intercept form because remember m stands for slope and b stands for y-intercept. In order to find the slope and y-intercept, we have to remember that y must be isolated. So y has to be alone in order for m to be next to x and b to be my constant. So if we go and we look at this first example, it says determine the slope, which is m, and the y-intercept, which is b, of the following. So if I look at number 1, the first thing I have to do is get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 9x on both sides. So I have 3y is equal to negative 9x plus 12. I'm now going to divide by 3. So y equals negative 3x plus 4. So m equals negative 3, b equals 4. So hopefully you're okay with that, except I made a tiny boo-boo. It should be negative 4 because that's negative 12. Good thing I caught it. Haha, negative 4. So I want you to try number 2 on your own. I'm going to move down to the next examples. Next one, it says find the slope of the following. So I see the word slope, so I know slope stands for m, but notice, look at number 1. How do I find the slope given two ordered pairs? I have to use the slope formula. The slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. It doesn't matter if your second y's, your first y's come first. All that matters is that if your first y comes first, your first x comes first. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight my x's and my y's. X, x, y, y. So I have y1, which is 0, minus y2, which is negative 4, all over x1, which is 2, minus x2, which is 10. 0 plus 4 is, 0 minus negative 4 is the same thing as 0 plus 4. So I'm left with 4 over negative 8, which makes m equals negative 1 over, nope, how about 2? 2 and 3 I'm going to leave for you to do on your own. Let's talk about graphing lines. So in order to graph a line, I have to get y by itself. So 3y equals 3x plus 12. So now I have y equals x plus 4 because I divided everybody by 3. So plot 4 on the y-axis, which this is going to be struggle. 4. And now I go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And connect my dots. And there's my line. So go ahead and do those last 2 on your own and then flip your paper. Alright, so let's talk about writing equations of lines in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So in order to write an equation of a line, I need to find m and b. So if I look at this number 1, does this problem tell me anything about m? Yes, it tells me it's negative 1 over 4. What about b? Nope, so I got to plug in what I know. Y equals negative 1 over 4x plus b. So what am I going to do to find b? Well, I'm going to take this ordered pair and I'm going to plug the y in for y and the x in for x. So I have negative 3 equals negative 1 over 4 times negative 3 plus b. So now I'm going to multiply negative 1/4 times negative 3. So if I put that over 1, I just get 3 over 4 plus b equals negative 3. I'm now going to multiply the whole problem by 4 to get rid of fractions. Negative 12 equals 3 plus 4b. Now solve. I have 4b equals negative 15. So b equals negative 15 over 4. I'm not done because I have to write my equation. Y equals negative 1 over 4x minus 15 over 4. And I'm done. 2 and 3, I'm going to leave to you. Notice 2 and 3, I didn't give you m, so I have to find m. So how do I find m first? Well, I have to use the slope formula, which is y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. Let's just erase some of this so I can scroll. There's another equation that represents linear functions. It's called point-slope form. So I'm going to highlight this. Point-slope form looks like this. Y minus y1 over x minus x1. So we should already know that m is my slope. And then we have x1 comma y1. That's a point. I give you a point and I give you the slope. So let's look at this first equation. It says write the equation of a line in point-slope form containing this point and that slope. So it's always y and then minus y1. Notice my ordered pair is positive, but in the formula they're negative because that's the opposite. So y minus y1, well my y value in this point is negative 8, so the opposite is plus 8, equals m, which is negative 1 over 3, parenthesis x, and then minus x1, so the opposite of my x point is negative 3. And I'm done. If I look at number 2, number 2 says write the equation in point-slope form, so that means it has to look like this, passing through the points negative 3, 2, and 2, 1. So I first have to do the slope formula to find the slope. 2 minus 1 over negative 3 minus 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. Negative 3 and negative 2 is negative 5. So that's my slope. And then for to pick the point, it can be any point you want. I'm going to pick 2, 1 because they're both positive. Doesn't really matter which point you pick. So I have y minus y1, so minus 1, equals negative 1/5 x minus 2. If I had have done it using this point, negative 3, 2, it would have also been correct. Let's look at this next one. Write the equation of a line in point-slope form that's parallel to this, but contains that point. So in order for lines to be parallel, what has to be true about your lines? Well, your lines have to have the same slope. So I got to first find the slope on this. So y equals, I'm going to add y to the other side and subtract 4. So x minus 4. So what's m? That's 1. So since it's parallel, I know m of my new graph has to be the same. So that's my slope, that's my point, plug it in. Y and then y1, which is plus 1, equals m times x minus x1, which is going to be minus 3. Technically, do I need this 1 here? No, but you can leave it if you want. Next one. Write the equation of a line in point-slope form that's perpendicular to this equation and contains the point 2, 0. So perpendicular. All right, so I got to get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 2x and divide by 2. M is negative 1. So how do I find the perpendicular slope of negative 1? Well, it's the opposite reciprocal, so I flip it. So 1 over 1 is still 1 over 1, and I make it the opposite. It was negative, now it's positive. So that's my slope. Here's my point. So I have y minus 1 equals x minus 2. Hopefully you're doing okay with this. The next one I want you to try on your own, and we'll go over it in class.